Aside from what we need to live, love is the most important thing to us as humans. Now, can love be had without any cost whatsoever? Or is there some part of love that requires suffering? And if so, is that one of the reasons why God allows evil in the world? Let's consider. Hello, philosophers. I'm Chico. Welcome to the Philosopher Show, where we consider the greatest questions of human history. Now, we've been in this playlist looking at the problem of evil. How could an all-knowing, all-good, all-powerful God allow evil in the world? I also have a playlist on the philosophy of love, and in the next week or so, I'm going to put out a few videos on Aristotle's view of love and some views of selfless love. So if you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe, hit the little bell so you get a notification whenever those videos drop. But for right now, let's start off talking a little bit about philosophy of love, and then we'll relate that to the problem of evil. The first time I saw my wife, physically saw her, the thought went through my head, oh, that's what the girl I'm going to marry looks like. And I swear to you, it went through my head just like that, and it was very strange. Odd thing to think, just seeing somebody. But 4 months later, we were engaged, and 6 months after that, we got married. We've been married for 18 happy years now. And I remember at the time getting married thinking, wow, it was love at first sight, right? I mean, this is true love. This is what love really is. And some older, wiser couples told me, yeah, that's love for sure, but the real love happens much later in the marriage after you've been through some stuff. And I thought, that's odd. I mean, I feel more intense right now than I've ever felt in my life. And yet, years later, usually when couples are a lot less lovey-dovey, that's when I'm going to feel the true love. I'm not sure about that. But what is that thing, true love? Well, we actually use this word love to describe a lot of things that we feel. We can use this word love to describe how we feel about things. So, for example, I might say that I love surfing because it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I can say that I love my twin fin back here because it's very useful when the waves are slow and big and I can get a lot of speed and go. I can say that I love philosophy because it makes me a wiser and better person. So we can love things because they're useful like my twin fin, they're pleasant like surfing, or they make us better like philosophy. And in the same way, we can say that we love people for those reasons. So for example, and this is the best example I could think of, it's not that I don't love the baristas at High Tide Coffee for just being you. However, you make amazing cappuccinos, and that's one thing that's useful to me, right? That's one of the reasons I love you guys. And when I think about people that I love because they're enjoyable, pleasant to be around, my friend Seth was the party guy in college. He always brought everybody out together. He always was really in the thick of things. He was a very funny guy. So I loved him because he was enjoyable. And when I think about people that I love because they make me a better person, I had a professor in grad school who was very dedicated to his craft of philosophy, and he knew a lot of stuff, and he clearly would research everything that he could about a topic because he wanted to know, and he wanted to communicate it well to us. It made me want to be a better philosopher, made me want to be a better person too. So just like we can have love for things, we can have love for people because they are useful, pleasant, or virtuous. They make us better. And when I first met my wife, this is definitely the case. I don't know how useful I could say that she was, but she was definitely pleasant to be around. She was very enjoyable, right? She was fun. She was very beautiful. She was also a very good person. And this is one of the things that really attracted me to her, is that she was an awesome person and she made me want to be a better person. I thought, wow, this is all, this is the person. This is the girl. There's definitely nothing wrong with this, but when you think about it, this kind of a love is all about what you can get out of it from the other person. You either can get something very useful from them, or you enjoy something about them, or you like the fact that they're making you be better. And then about 5 years ago, and I may have told this story already on this channel, and if so, I apologize, but it was a very big deal for me. About 5 years ago, I started going through intense anxiety attacks. And I know that I was not enjoyable to be around, and I know I was not being very virtuous. I know I was being very cowardly, right? I didn't want to do anything. Oh, it was awful. Like, I hated life. It just felt so bad all the time. And my wife at the time was very encouraging. She would try to get me to go for a run because she knew that exercise was helpful, or she would force me to go to work because she knew just sitting at home and cowering was not going to be helpful for me. And I could tell it wasn't because, she was just trying to kick me out of the house, but it was because she loved me and she wanted me to, get better. And the most incredible thing that I remember was I would have these periods at night where I'd be about to fall asleep, and then I'd wake up in a sweat and I'd be freaking out, and my wife would stay awake with me until like 3 or 4 in the morning, knowing full well that the kids were going to wake up at 5 in the morning, and she would get up with them because she knew that what I needed was as much sleep as I could get. So she would stay up with me, talking to me and praying with me and just in general trying to help me to feel better. And I remember at the time just being blown away, thinking, wow, this person really cares. I mean, it's not that she's getting something out of it for herself, but it's that she wants what's best for me. She wants me to get better. And this is kind of an odd thing to think, but I remember at the time, one night I remember laying there. We were trying to have another child at the time. And I remember thinking, wow, I can't wait till you get pregnant again, because when you're pregnant, I have to help you a ton. I have to go get the food that you need, and I have to, rub your feet and all these kinds of things. And it's not because I want to pay you back. It's not because I feel like I owe you a debt, but it's because I want to love you the way that you're loving me right now. I see this and I want that. That's incredible. So although there's a love that is all about what you get from the other person, it seems like there's also this other kind of love that's all about what you can give to this person. The second kind of love that's all directed at this person instead of at what you can get. So philosopher Thomas Aquinas defines love as the desire to be with another person, but more importantly, the desire for the good of the other person. And that's what I found later on in my marriage, and that's what I think those people were talking about. Now, granted, I know some people are going to say, I don't think that's possible. You can't have a love for somebody else that's just totally for that person, nothing about what you get from that love. Interestingly enough, I kind of agree with you, kind of don't. But again, subscribe, hit the notifications, because those videos are coming out very soon. But for now, even if it's not possible to be totally selfless, at least this kind of a love has a focus on the other person as its starting off point, even if your own self-interest comes later on. So let's assume that love is what Aquinas is saying. It's the desire for the good of the other. But isn't that what I had with my wife at the very beginning though? I said it was love at first sight. And at the time, if you had asked me, hey, do you want bad things to happen to that girl that you just saw? Or would you like the good things to happen to that girl? I would have said, yeah, of course, I want good things to happen to that person. That's the way I feel right now. So you might say, by this definition, that was love the first time you saw her. But then again, that can't be right, because there's nothing special about that, right? I look around at people and there's nobody that I see every day that I'm like, I hope bad things happen to that guy. If you were to ask me at that moment, hey, do you want good things to happen to that person? I'd be like, yeah, I would love good things to happen to that person. So by a desire for the good of the other, what Aquinas does not mean is well-wishing. Hope things work out for you. No, desire here instead would be something that was motivational, something that would actually get you to get off of your butt and to go do good things for that other person. Not only do you wish you well, but you are going out to pursue that good thing for the other person because of this love. Now, you may wonder, how do I get this kind of a love for another person? If I see somebody and I think awesome things about that person, it's not that I want to go out and start serving that person, start doing what's best for that person. How is this kind of a love possible? Well, it's important to note that Thomas Aquinas, in giving this definition, is working from an Aristotelian framework, from an Aristotle framework of virtue ethics, where virtue is more of a matter of character than it is of something you just assent to. And what do I mean by that? Well, think about it this way. What makes you a courageous person? Is it that a person just wakes up one morning and says, you know what? I think I'm going to be a courageous person today. Wow, look at me. I'm brave. That's awesome. No, the way you become courageous is that you have to make a lot of decisions to do courageous things, to be brave in scary situations. And it's only through going through those scary situations and making the courageous decisions that you become a courageous person. In many ways, it's a lot like exercise. I might say that, I'm going to be healthy starting today. And that doesn't make me a healthy person. What makes me healthy is actually exercising on a regular schedule until I become the kind of a person that wants to go to the gym, that has a lot more oxygen going through my body and all those kinds of things. So the way that you become virtuous is very similar to the way that you become healthy. You have to make a habit of doing virtuous things, and then you become virtuous. So how do you get this kind of true love for somebody? Well, just like for being courageous, over a long period of time, you make these decisions, these loving decisions, to seek the good for that other person, even that sometimes it's going to cost you for your own good. And then over time, you become a person that loves. And notice there's nothing here about how this person makes you feel. Sometimes when people get, and I don't want to judge because I know there are all kinds of reasons for divorce and I've seen some good reasons for divorce, but sometimes today when I hear people get divorced, they say stuff like, well, I just wasn't happy anymore. So the person thinks that it's a good reason to get divorced because that person's not feeling happy. But on this view of what true love is, you don't get married to make yourself happy. You get married to make your spouse happy. And it's through loving your spouse in this way that you get true love for that person. And in a very paradoxical way, this kind of true love for a person, when you're seeking to make another person happy, ends up being what makes you happy in the first place. But that's a whole nother bizarre idea that we'll talk about in another video. In any case, hopefully you can see that this is a desirable picture of what true love could be. Now, can you build up this kind of love when nothing goes wrong? You know, my wife and I have gone through some crazy things in our marriage. And at each point, we've had to support each other through all the bad times. But what if nothing went wrong at all? Would we still love each other in the same way? Now, I definitely think it's possible that we would love each other, but it's definitely not the case that we would love each other in the same way or to the same degree or something like that. It's definitely the case that sharing the bad times has made us stronger as a couple, much stronger than sharing the good times. We have had to make a regular practice of loving each other and choosing the good for the other person. And much like you need to continually work out in order to be healthy, we've had to continually make those choices in order to love each other. And of course, I'm talking about this in the context of marriage because that's the greatest love that I have, but this kind of love goes for almost anybody. The love for your friends, the love for your parents, even the love for your enemies. All of these kinds of people, you can see it as, do I love these people because I'm getting something good from it? Or am I making these choices for what's best for them? But again, you can't make these kinds of choices for them unless they are lacking something. Unless there's some good thing that they need, but they don't have. So why does God allow evil in the world? Well, one possible reason, and remember, we're not talking about this is the answer to everything, but a possible reason God might allow some evil at least is because true love only happens when we serve each other. But serving each other only happens when we lack some kind of a good. And that lack of good, that privation, that's evil. So, at least for some evils, we need them in order to have this really, really good thing called love. But again, this isn't to say that all evil is for this purpose, but this is at least one possible reason for some evil. One thing I don't want you to walk away from this video thinking, if you are suffering right now and your question is, why is God allowing this suffering happening to me right now? This video is going to sound incredibly cavalier. Oh, I'm suffering so somebody can come along and love me. Awesome for them. Again, that's not the kind of problem of evil that we're talking about. We're talking about the logical problem of evil. I'm sitting comfortably in my philosopher's armchair and I'm considering hypothetical evils that are out there. When it comes to the existential problem of evil, why is this suffering right now happening in my life? That's a different story. And again, I have videos planned on those, but yeah, please don't take this as me telling you, hey, don't worry, your suffering is no big deal because it's also somebody could love you. Hope it happens. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying in this video is that there are a lot of possible reasons that God could allow some different kinds of evils in the world. Here's a really good one that I like because I've gone through this kind of suffering. I've been able to experience the love of other people. And when other people suffer, I'm able to give them the kind of love that I want myself. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments. And I know I've been really bad at getting back to some of you guys. I apologize. We're moving to Spain in like 2 months. So we've been doing an insane amount of work. I love San Clemente, California. Love this place. It's my hometown, but we're moving to San Sebastian, Spain, also an awesome surf town from what I hear. But it's caused us no end of grief because it's just, it's incredible the amount of work that you have to do to live in some other place we want to live there for 2 years. We'll see what happens. In any case, if you're out there, hit me up and maybe we get a surf sesh. But that's all I got for right now. Adios.